Hi, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed our training so far. Now we're going to talk about the VDOT Special Precision BMD 2021 spec, where we're going to put it all together. If you don't know me already, I am Candice Entwisle. I'm with Central Office VDOT Materials. Today we're going to go over the materials that are accepted into the BMD specification, the job mix formula, the production testing, in the acceptance. We'll go into some initial production stuff, and then we'll talk about measurements and payments. So the materials, everything that is in section 211 specifications, such as our approved lists, our aggregate, our binders, the material still needs to meet section 211.02. We will not be using shingles, the recycled asphalt shingles, in the BMD 2021 this year. We will be using wrap with the allowance up to 30%. So far in some of our trials and pilots, they suggest testing the wrap for all of the aggregate properties, as well as the binder characteristics, such as the true grade. Really need to know where your wrap is to help in your performance, because it could help you or it could hinder you. So moving on, we are also going to talk about our job mix formulas. So all of these statements on this slide are true to all the 2021 pilot contracts. BMD is being applied to your surface mixes. Only your SM95A, your 95D, your SM125A, and your SM125D. All the mixes will still have to meet the maximum nominal sieve size for the designated type, your 9.5 and your 12.5. Again, we're allowing up to a 30% wrap right now, and no RAS, no shingles. If in your district you want to use a softer binder that is not mentioned in 211 or a rejuvenator, it needs to be approved by your district materials engineer. There are some softer binders on our approved lists. If you have a manufacturer that can provide it, just have them get a hold of us at central office and we'll go through the process to get them put on the list, whatever is needed for that. So again, if you want to use a softer binder, please talk to your district materials engineer. So the different types of job mix formulas for 2021 BMD projects. So right now we have a control mix, which meets all your specifications for your super pave in section 211. We have your BMD Performance plus Volumetrics, which we call BMDP plus V. And this is designed to meet your 211 and your BMD criteria in table 1 of the special provision. So the third one is your BMD Performance, or BMDP. This is to meet the BMD criteria on table 1 of your special provisions. We would still need your volumetric report data just so that we can still help with the research that we're doing. So this year we're still kind of on the path for research, and hopefully next year we can step away and get more closer to production. But this year we would still like as much data as you can possibly give us. Okay, so we're going to talk about your control mix first. So when you're submitting your designs, it's your regular super pave, probably something the contractor or yourself has already had, that your 9.5 or your 12.5 that you like, it runs really well. So what we would need is for you to do to submit some performance testings on those, as well as your regular super pave design submissions that you do, on the regular season. And then what we would also need is your long-term aging results at your AC design with your, it's called long-term aging for your CT. There's more information in the that you probably learned earlier, yes. But in the special provision, it gives a little bit more in length detail, but you're really just aging it for 8 hours and then getting up to compaction temperature and creating those CT pills. It's supposed to show us aging through over a certain amount of years. So that's something you're going to have to do with your control mix. Your BMDP plus V. So you're still going to have to do your super pave design, and it meets your volumetrics of 211 and your AC and all of that stuff that you already do for super pave. But in addition, it's going to have to meet your BMD ranges as well. So for your APA rut testing, you're going to have to design and get an APA rut test at design and 0.5% above design. Your Cantabro, you're going to have to get results at design and 0.5% below design. For your CT, it's going to be like your volumetrics. You're going to have to get results at design, 0.5% below and 0.5% above in terms and following that ASTM to make those CTs. As well as you're going to submit results for your long-term aging CT at design. For your BMD performance, little different. You'll do your BMD testing, same thing as with your performance when it comes to same thing as your P plus V, but with your performance only is you're doing your APA at design and 0.5% above. Your Cantabro is at design and 0.5% below. Your CT is at design, 0.5% below and 0.5% above, as well as your long-term aging CT at your design. But in addition, we're also going to need a single percentage for aggregate at each required sieve. Your design AC liquid for that mix, a single percent. We will need to know the volumetrics at that design. You'll still have to do the 0.5% above, 0.5% below when you're designing. They just don't have to meet, see the bottom bullet, they don't have to meet table 213 or table 214. But we still need those results during your design phase. And then again, that one bullet that I missed, the temperature of your mix, which usually you go off of your compaction requirements based on your liquid or what the spec says. So when you're submitting your BMD plus performance or your BMD volumetric plus performance mixes, they will need to show improvement over your super pave control mix performance tests that you have submitted with your design. Specifically your CT, lower rut and less mass loss during your Cantabro testing. It's just a requirement that we're doing this year so that we're having a good comparison to show that we are improving the mixes that we are placing. Okay, production testing for QC. The lots are going to be 4,000 ton lots. Some of the contracts are a little less than that, but 4,000 ton lots like our regular super pave. The contractors have up to 2 weeks to submit their BMD, the performance testing, or sooner if possible, which would be great so that we can all get in line and see how long it will truly take. The acceptance testing is still done. Your gradation and your AC is still done at your stratified random numbers every 500 tons. Your performance testing will be done every 1,000 tons. Your IDT CT pills, there will be 5 of those, and then your Cantabro pills will be 3, which is comparable to your volumetric pills. And those are done every 1,000 tons for quality control testing. So quality assurance testing shall be done every 2,000 tons. Earlier, when I had talked about, you had saw the slide that said 4,000 tons, but can apply testing to 2,000 tons. What we're really saying is we would like 2 QA samples testing done in however amount of production you're going to be able doing for your BMD. So for QA testing, which is done every 2,000 tons, we'll pull the sample. The contractor this year in 2021 will be making the department's samples for now. They will make 5 for the department and 5 for the contractor for the CT pills. The Cantabro pills, they will be making 3 for the department and 3 for the contractor. Now, APA pills, you're only going to make 4, and those will only be for the department unless a contractor wants to make them for themselves, which that is their prerogative if they would like to. Currently, we're also collecting 6 boxes of loose mix. This is for our reheats and some extra testing that the Research Council is doing. Your district may also ask for extra loose mix as well so that they can work on also making their own CT pills for reheat and for extra test data. So what we have learned so far with some of these contracts is that they recommend starting your rice first so that when you go to make your pills, you have your rice so you can help calculate where you need the weight of that loose mix to be to come back compact to get to your voids that's required for that test. So they recommend doing the rice, and then they recommend starting your IDT CT pills first. Then they recommend moving on to your APA RET test. This is just for QA. So when you're making your APA test, your CT pills, and then your APA pills. These 2 tests are more susceptible to reheat variability. Then they recommend making your Cantabro pills specimens last. So also during some of these pilots, they've learned that the amount of material that you need is 8 to 10 times more during a QA that you would pull comparative to super pave mix, because you can't go back for another truck or you'll just have to start all over again. So they recommend pulling more than you probably absolutely necessarily need, but make sure you have that because you can't go back or you'll just have to start over. They say be prepared to do a second burn of rice in case the first burn of rice just doesn't make sense, because again, you're using that rice to make these pills for your CT and your APA that are very specific. And the next bullet, if your rice is off, 4 to 5 grams difference can really put a curve in, the void you're shooting for your CT pills. Now, they also recommend having cooling racks and fans. The CT pills are thinner than, your volumetric pills. So cooling them is going to be a little bit quicker, of course, but they recommend being able to get that airflow underneath the pills. The only thing that I recommend is be careful when you're putting a hot pill on a graded cooling rack, because if it's still really hot and soft, it might misshapen and deform, which could affect your results. So maybe let it cool a little bit and then raise it up to get airflow under it. Just some recommendations. Again, no, not right, not wrong right now. We'll see where we can go with this. So the faster we can get the voids calculated out, then if you need to make more or not. So we're moving into acceptance. So BMD, B plus V and P will be required to meet the special provisions for Section 211. This means your gradation band and your AC should all, be the same as super pave. That's what the pay is based off, and the acceptance is still based off of. Your field density shall be determined with 315, so nothing has changed when it has come to placing your BMD. Your density ranges are still the same for your surface mixes. If the route and the requirements for the density are right, bonus can be applied. So that's another thing to look at, is if the route could potentially have bonus, and if you're testing it through method A, bonus can be applied to BMD mixes. Your process tolerance, this is what I was talking about in 211, still the same. So you're still using your 8 sample process tolerance. So initial production, a lot of word choices here, but it basically says on your first production day, the engineer can still place you on 300 to 500 ton limited production, or they could let you go full blown 1 day of production to see how things are going. That's something you need to talk to your district engineer on. Especially, we all have to be ready to get these samples, and the plant usually needs to be warmed up and pull the samples at a good spot too. So again, talk to your district materials engineer. Initial production day, again, it can still be subjected to limited tonnage. Measurement and payment. So BMD P plus V and P are still paid by ton. And they are paid for at the contract price, ton price. You still have to have a weigh ticket that goes out with each load in accordance to 211, so that it can be added up and paid for based on TL 102. Price adjustments. So because our acceptance is the same as super pave right now with payment, your price adjustments are still based on your gradation and your AC content. So that's what this says. It says that the department will determine adjustment points in accordance with section 21109 specification, which is based on your AC and gradation. Thank you all for joining me. I hope that you have learned so much, and I will be on the panel to answer any questions that you have.